Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex with my co-host here today, Anthony Rivardo. Today we have some interesting news, some injury updates, some positive ones for once. Usually it's quite negative, but today we got some positive stuff. Coming off a win against Carolina, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like we could maybe beat Kansas City. Of course, a little optimistic. A lot of people might disagree with me there, but I'm going to give you a couple reasons as to why I think it's possible. And I think that you guys might take that and say, okay, maybe he's right. But first and foremost, we want to talk about Evan Engram and the rumors that there are teams that want to trade for him. Just after, who was it that just traded for a tight end? Arizona Cardinals went out and got Zach Ertz from the Eagles. And Evan Engram, everyone's like, oh no, they lost the one team that wanted to go for a tight end. But apparently, according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, there's a couple of other teams in the mix here. And what is Evan Engram worth? We're going to talk about that, what we think they might be able to get for him right now. Before we do so, Anthony, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing really good. I'm very intrigued by these trade rumors surrounding Evan Engram because this is something I've been talking about for quite a while now. I've been saying the Giants, it's time to do it. It's time to finally trade Evan Engram. I think this is the right move for the Giants. I think it's the right move for Evan Engram. At this point, the fans, they hate him so much. They're all like, why would anyone ever want to trade for Evan Engram? Well, he's a talented player in a bad situation. He's not making the most of this situation. I just think it's time for him to move on to greener pastures, a new environment. He might have a very successful career outside of his time with the New York Giants. I really believe that. But for the Giants, they're not reaping any benefits having Evan Engram on the field or having him on this roster. When he's out on the field, Giants fans were booing him. When he goes to the bench, we're cheering, yay, we finally got him off the field. So that kind of toxic situation for a player is just not good. It's not going to breed productivity or efficient play on the football field. So at this point for the Giants, with the fan base already so against Evan Engram, I think it's the right decision to let him go to a fan base that will now accept him and, really take him on as a player that they like and enjoy and like watching the play. So I think for Evan Engram, it's just the best for him to be in a new situation. For the Giants, cut your losses on that pick. Take whatever draft capital you can get for him and just move on. Now, I'm really excited about this idea. And of course, with the trade deadline coming up, there are plenty of other names that might start to get put into this rumor mill. I know Jabril Peppers was right in there, but then unfortunately, he ruptured his ACL. He's out for the year on IR. Super huge loss to the Giants defense. But of course, we got a lot of great topics to discuss today. Couple trade rumors, couple injury things. It's going to be a good one. So let's get into it, Alex.
Absolutely. Now, Evan Engram, the most polarizing player I've seen in quite some time on this Giants team. Now, you never want to have to trade away first-round picks and get back maybe a fourth or fifth rounder. We're going to talk about what he might be actually valued at. But this season, predominantly, he's been rather ineffective, right? He's only had 2 games with over 30 yards. He had 55 yards against Dallas and 44 against Carolina. He's pretty much been a non-factor. He's not very good at blocking, and that's really the main point here is like he just doesn't help enough in the running game, and in the receiving game he's not doing enough either. He hasn't scored a touchdown this year over 5 appearances, and he's dropped 1 football. He almost had a drop last week that ended up an interception. Luckily, it just bounced off his chest and it was actually a defensive pass interference, so he got away with one there. But altogether, the value that we're getting from him now is easily replaceable. And I know a lot of people say, he's super athletic. He's got that tangible trait that doesn't really come along tight ends very much. He's very fast, very, very speedy, very agile. He's a unique player. But I think the Giants more or less just need a security blanket right now. We have the Kadarius Tonys of the world. We have the Saquons, the Kenny Galladays. We have the athletic playmakers that can do what he can do times 10. I just don't think you need that sort of athletic tight end. You don't want to build your offense through anymore. Like, there was a point where the Giants' offense was looking to build through him. Feed him the ball, get him the ball in space, let him use his talents. But I think now the Giants are looking more to actually activate Kadarius Toney as a primary playmaker, and Kenny Galladay. Like, those are the guys they want to build around now. Even Daniel Jones with the RPOs and read options. I don't think Evan Engram is being phased in enough at this point where it's like, okay, we need to extend him and really make him a bigger part of this offense. I think he's gone after this year anyway, Anthony. So I guess my question for you is, would you rather maybe let him sign with somebody else to get a compensatory pick for 2023, or would you rather trade him away now, get some value now, and let whoever's GM in 2022 make that selection, have a little bit more ammo under their belt?
Yeah, I want the 2022 draft selection rather than the 2023 draft selection. The Giants are loaded up on draft picks for this year's class. And from what I've heard, it's a pretty rich draft class at the offensive line position. And that's obviously a need for the Giants. So I do think that just getting the pick now sooner rather than later is good because it also gives you flexibility. You could take that pick maybe during draft day, trade it down during the draft, and then just get a better pick the following year for it, right? You can always do something like that. Plus, with the Giants, I don't know how much Evan Engram's actually going to get on the open market. He could get 3 million a year. He could get 10 million a year. I don't know. He's so wildly he's just so hard to judge, right? Because there's teams that really like him. They want to trade for him, and people see his talent. He made the Pro Bowl last year despite dropping 11 passes, right? So there's teams out there that are like, man, this player is really good. He's got a lot of talent. And then Giants fans are looking at him and we're like, this guy stinks, right? The SpongeBob meme. Oh, brother, this guy stinks. We don't want anything to do with him. So there could be teams on the open market that feel the same way, and ultimately his price might fall down. And then the Giants aren't getting much money towards their compensatory pick. So for me personally, let's just go ahead, trade him as soon as possible, cut your losses, and get a solid draft pick for the player. I think that would be a great idea, and I would love, hopefully, fifth round, fourth round pick for Evan Engram. I think it's possible. I do think it's possible to get one of those middle round, fourth or fifth round picks for Evan Engram because, like I said, there are multiple teams that desire having Evan Engram on their team. When there's multiple teams, then it becomes a bidding war, and then the price goes up. So I think that they could possibly yield a fourth or fifth round pick for Evan Engram, and I think that they should be on the phones trying to get that as soon as possible.
And they probably will be, right? November 2nd is the trade deadline. Anthony had a good idea that maybe we'll do a live stream of an hour leading up to the deadline, see if the Giants make any last second moves, and we can be live for it. So that's a cool idea we might execute. But Evan Engram, like just his career up to this point, I think a change in transition or a change in scenery, a transition to a new team would do him well. I think that the Giants fans have been more than objective when it comes to his play. I think we've been more than hostile toward him, and I think he's a good guy. Like I genuinely think Evan Ingram's a great guy. He works hard. He does what he's asked. He doesn't complain. Like that's what you want in a player. He just never has been able to put it all together, and I think predominantly is because one, the Giants never really used him right, and two, the offensive line was always so bad. He was never able to run complete routes. You know, he was always running curls and sticks, and he was always running very short route concepts, which forced quarterbacks like Daniel Jones to throw fastballs at him over and over again. And like he's not really a good fastball catcher. He's more of a guy who needs the touch on the pass. He would be a great tight end for maybe a guy like Aaron Rodgers who can put the touch on, can find time, buy time in the pocket. Maybe a guy like probably would have been Kyler Murray, who has a beautiful touch on the football. Tom Brady, I think would be a pretty good option for him. Although Tom Brady would probably kill him the second he dropped a pass. So I don't know if Evan Engram wants to go anywhere near the Tampa Bay Bucks. But, you know, there are some teams that are looking at him as a potential suitor, maybe even the Saints. And, you know, they have a decent offensive line at times. And I think maybe Jameis Winston could use a new tight end. Evan Engram might be a good fit there. So there are a couple teams that make sense. And for the most part, he just needs a new scenery. He needs a change. And I think the Giants kind of are done with him at this point. He's not the focal point of their offense. And it's time to move on. And again, love the guy in terms of his personality and traits. I love his physicality and his aggressiveness, and you know the injuries have taken a toll on his career. But I think he never really was set up for success here, and I don't think many players ever have been set up. Well, not ever, but not many players in the past 5 to 6 years have been set up to succeed with the Giants, and we've seen that over and over again. Ranging from Daniel Jones, who's just like finally coming around, and the offensive line is in shambles again. All these injuries, offensive line play has always been a problem here for the past decade or so. The defense, you know, the outside linebackers, it's just there's never been continuity, and a lot of injuries and stuff have really thrown a couple rocks into the mix. But Anthony, you know, talking about injuries, we do have a big game against Kansas City coming up. That's a huge one. And there's a couple guys on the comeback here. We have Kadarius Toney and Saquon and Sterling Shepard and Kenny Golladay who all practiced on Wednesday. That's a really good indication that they might be available. And I need Kadarius Toney badly in my fantasy league because now that Devontae Adams is out due to COVID, I'm like, oh crap! Like now what? Kadarius Toney will be able to do some good stuff for me. But it really comes down to if they play or not. How important is it that this Giants team has those guys ready and available to have their best shot at beating Kansas City?
I think it's huge for the Giants to get as many talented players out on the field as possible for Monday. And one of the reasons why I think they just might get a couple of these players back, think about it. They have a whole extra day to recover. They have Monday night game, not Sunday, Sunday afternoon or Sunday night. They have that extra day of Sunday to recover and prepare for this game. And I think that's going to be huge for the Giants because I think one or two of these players are going to be like a game time decision. And if you were playing that game time decision game on Sunday, they might not be ready. But that one extra day, some Monday night game time, now they might be feeling just a little bit better and a little bit more capable of going out there on the football field. So I think that's really important. I'm really hoping that the Giants can get these playmakers back out on the field because, yes, it worked last week. The Giants schemed an entire offensive game plan around having no playmakers and around having Daniel Jones go out of the pocket and make all the plays on his own with a bunch of backups, right? They did that. But they're not going to be able to do that every single week. And what they really should be hoping to do is get all of their players back and game plan to go up against a weak and vulnerable Kansas City Chiefs defense and go out there with all of your playmakers like you did against the Saints for the most part and just start slinging the rock and making big explosive plays downfield and scoring some touchdowns. That's what the Giants game plan should be, but it can only be that if these players are healthy enough to play on Monday, and I think at least one or two of them will be healthy. I think there's a good chance that Saquon makes his return. I think there's a good chance that Kenny Galladay makes his return too, and there's probably a good chance that Kadarius Toney makes his return. At least one of those guys is probably going to play on Monday, and that's going to be huge for the Giants because they can actually run the offense through one of those superstar players that they have, and that could absolutely lead to a potential upset victory on Monday night versus the Chiefs.
The Giants have a shot here, but it's going to take a couple of really great performances, right? The defense specifically is going to need to play the same as they did against Carolina, plus some. I know the Kansas City Chiefs only scored 3 points last week, but we're talking about Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and we're talking about an explosive offense capable of putting up 30 plus points. I think they're averaging 29 per game right now, maybe a little less. So it's going to require a masterclass defensive performance from the Giants, no matter how you look at it. And the offense is going to have to keep up. This Giants team will not win this game unless they put up 25 plus points. And they're going to need Kadarius Toney. They're going to need Kenny Galladay, Saquon. They're going to need all hands on deck. But I will say this. Kansas City's defense is arguably one of the worst in the league. And in fact, they're historically bad in coverage right now. They're allowing, I think, 275 yards through the air per game and a pretty good amount on the ground as well. They're a bottom 5 team in points allowed per game. They're absolutely horrendous. The Giants, if there's any game where the offense blows up, it's this one. This is an opportunity for them to really make a statement, especially if they have some guys coming back. Now, not having Andrew Thomas is obviously a huge con, but if they script some nice plays and they get Daniel Jones running and they get the RPOs going, they got Kadarius Toney in space, we could win this game. Like the spread right now is 10. I'm gonna take the under on this. I think that we're gonna hold it beneath 10. Personally, I think that's how it goes, and this is probably a really good trap game to win some money on. That's how I feel about it. And basically, what we've seen from Kansas City, if you put pressure on Patrick Mahomes, you can beat him. You can actually fluster him at this point in the season. He just took a huge hit last week to the head. He's probably going to have that in the back of his mind. I think this is a good opportunity for the Giants to bounce back and have another consistent performance like they did against Carolina with some weapons on the way back. And that's a huge point of emphasis for me. But guys, also make sure to check out our sponsor below, BUSR. They're giving away $250. Sign up right now for a chance to win. It's going to be coming down to the wire here. It's free money. You really can't lose here. And they're also matching your first bet, a minimum of $100. If you bet $100, they're giving you it for free. It can't be any easier. They're really giving away money. So go enjoy that. Go sign up in the description on YouTube. Really, really happy to be there, be their spokesperson here and them sponsoring our podcast. They've been really good to us, and they will be in the future as well. So make sure to go sign up and enjoy some of that. We'll be running that throughout the weekend, this upcoming week as well. So again, Anthony, is there any specific players that you think have to be on the top of their game this week, just to have a chance of beating Kansas City? I think there's 3. I think Matt Pert needs to have a great game. I think that's where it really comes down to protecting Jalen Jones' blind side. I think that a healthy Kadarius Toney would be the difference maker. And I think that probably Leonard Williams is my other one because we need to be putting pressure on Patrick Mahomes, and I think he's the guy to do it. Of course, Azeez Ojulari has been phenomenal the past week, but I think Leonard Williams is the guy you need to step up against big teams. So those are the 3 guys that I really have in mind.
Yeah, if there's one player I need to step up against the Kansas City Chiefs, against big teams in general, you know exactly who it is, Alex. It's a Daniel Jones, okay? And he's been playing some good football this year. But if he can go into Kansas City on a Monday night and take down the Chiefs, I mean, we're again going to be saying, oh, looks like a franchise quarterback. We'll get really excited all over again. And listen, this is actually a game where he could potentially do that. He could pull that off. He's playing good football right now. He's playing turnover-free football right now. And he's making some pretty good, big plays on the ground and through the air. Plus, this Kansas City Chiefs defense, as you just mentioned, Alex, is horrible. It is so bad. It's historically bad. And if there is ever a time for Daniel Jones to go out there, throw 4 touchdown passes and 400 yards, it's this game. This is the game for him to do it. So, yeah, if there's one player that I'm saying needs to have a big game to pull off this upset, I'm saying it's Daniel Jones. He's playing good football. Like I said, he also just had one of these awesome performances against the Saints 3 weeks ago, right? He just had one, or 4 weeks ago now. At this point, he had a really great performance against the Saints where he won NFC Offensive Player of the Week. He had a whole bunch of passing yards, a career high 400 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, and he also ran for a bit, and he really was just looking like a true playmaker out there from the quarterback position. I think that he can do the exact same thing this upcoming week against the Kansas City Chiefs, against another really bad defense. He can have a performance like that. And if he does, he can absolutely lead the Giants to a victory on Monday night. So for me, it just rests on the shoulders of the quarterback. It rests on Daniel Jones. Can he prove himself once again, go into Kansas City and pull off this upset? That would be incredible. So yeah, one player that I'm looking at, Danny Dimes, baby.
It always comes down to Danny Dimes. Obviously, he's the catalyst here. He's shown us that he can carry the offense when they need him to do it. And we're gonna need another really good performance from him on Sunday or Monday rather as well. So really excited for that, guys. Keep tuned for another week full of content. So we'll be making sure you guys are up to date on all the Giants news as always. Make sure to hit up our sponsor, get that free money. Don't let it go to waste. Go get that free money. And also make sure to subscribe below on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube as always. And we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Giants video.